Well, we're going to get started here for our first one-on-one meeting for new managers. Welcome to the leadership group in LinkedIn. As you can tell, I've been clicking around trying to figure out which screen you're actually looking at. So we'll get dive in here. And so really want to welcome you. The purpose of this group is to provide leadership resources to new managers, maybe your experienced managers. We have another call on Tuesday or on Thursday for that. But really, it's trying to figure out what is the best way to provide resources to managers to help them move along, to help you move along throughout your career. And so the idea today is to cover, what's happening with new managers, with leaders that are challenges that we can address together. And I think so that's where I'm at, trying to just provide value for what that is. And so let's get started today. I think I'm sharing, but let's hit the share button here. And we're going to share there. There we go. Well, you're seeing my whole outlet. So there you go. My whole disk thing. Let me see if I can just share the other one. So if you're watching, you're getting to enjoy a little bit of learning curve. I've always had a challenge sharing the right um, PowerPoint thing here. Let's see if I can do that. There we go. All right, I think I got it. We're going to try this. There we go. All right. Well, welcome again. Sorry for that, a little bit of a delay, but again, the purpose here is to be able to provide tools and resources to new managers, new leaders, which is you. Actually, we're all learning from time to time as to what's happening with our employees and how to lead better. And so the goal here is every Tuesday, or I'm sorry, twice a month, I'm going to be doing a 12 o'clock lunch meeting, which is a chance just to kind of cover my ideas to help new leaders, new managers lead well. On Thursdays will be more seasoned leaders. You can get on either one or both if you want to. So the idea here is to have a teaching point, as you can see, a discussion or an AMA, and then to have a takeaway or a challenge. And so, again, one of the questions always to ask yourself, I'd encourage this on a weekly basis, is what's one leadership win or challenge this past week? You should be asking, I should be asking this question on a regular basis, no matter how long I've been a manager. What's one leadership win that I've had this past week? We want to think about what's gone well, and then what's a leadership challenge. And then we want to process both of those. If you were on the call with me, and hopefully we'll have more people on the call in the future, I'd love to hear people share what's a win. Why is it considered a win? How are you measuring that? And how will you continue that going forward? And then what's a challenge you're facing? And why is it a challenge? And what are you going to do to move forward in that challenge? So those are two questions. I have it in one question here, but those are two things that I'd encourage you, especially as a new manager, to be asking every Monday or Tuesday or every Friday for the past week is what is a win and what's a challenge, and then process that. I'm available here on these AMAs to process with you, so that's something we can cover going forward. But again, we just want to be able to take some time throughout the week. We'll do this twice a month to be able to process. So that's the question we're always going to start with, and we'll spend some time letting people process. And then we're going to have a topic to talk about. And today's topic is your first one-on-ones, build trust from day one, which, we always want to build trust as a leader from day one. And I think we assume we're building trust or we assume there's trust, but the challenge is there isn't always trust. We have to build it. And you don't always have to earn it. What is that? There's a phrase, you have to earn trust before it's provided. That's not always true. There is some level of trust given, but if you really want to build trust, you really do have to be intentional. And one way to do that, intentional, is in 3 points we're going to cover today. And it's way about talking about one-on-ones together. You can build trust as a group, which is encouraged. You want to be able to talk to people and build trust as a group. But the other part is you really want to build trust one-on-one. That is really where you're going to dive in, make connections, and really be able to share who you are, understand where they're coming from, and be able to speak truth into the situation. So, 3 key points. One-on-ones are about building connection and trust, not just tracking work. I think this is key. I'm an executive coach. I'm also a vice president of operations, and I have weekly meetings with my directors. And one of the key things, obviously, they're reporting in on high level things, and we're not running into the weeds on everything. But a lot of this is about building trust, not just connecting about tracking work. We do track work because we need to do that, but it also is about building a connection. And it's not just, hey, how was your weekend? Good. How was yours? Good. Great. Let's get into it. It really is asking questions. Again, that first question that I asked, this question would be a great way to start your one-on-one. What's one leadership win for you last week? Just process. This is not from an interrogation standpoint. It may seem like that, not because you're presenting it that way, hopefully, but it could seem like you're like, hey, so tell me about your win. Hopefully, there's some trust there that you just really want to know what that is to celebrate. And then what's a challenge? Again, you can decide, or they can decide how much they want to share based on the relationship. But it really does open a door for how much to share. It really does open a door for them for communication. So if you want to start with that, you then can break it out more into building connections and trust into the rest of the conversation. So just keep that in mind. Build the rapport, build the connection, trust, and then move into the work. And it becomes more natural with time. I just recommend that. Key three, and again, I'd love to hear your comments at the bottom. How do you build trust in your one-on-ones? What have you found that works, or what have you learned the hard way that doesn't work? The second one is use a simple agenda. A lot of leaders, new managers, wing it. Just assume that they can make it up on the spot. I will raise my hand. I used to be guilty of that. It goes well once in a while, but when it doesn't, man, it really goes bad. And you can really erode trust fast. And so we don't want that to happen. So make a simple agenda, even if it's just for you, but use the agenda every time for them, which is what are some updates? Could be the question we talked about, could be other thing, but give updates personally, business, whatever, updates on status of projects, updates on whatever you want to call, whatever you're measuring, give an update, and then move into feedback. Well, let's talk about that. How are things progressing? Um, what areas would you like feedback in? You may just have to speak into at the beginning. They may not invite you in. But what is the feedback that's happening? Ask coaching questions, leading questions. If someone gives an update, it's not a that's great, that's bad. Tell me more. Why are we trending in why do you think we're trending in that direction? Interesting. I would have thought we were trending in this direction because of this. Again, that's that feedback. You want to have the communication going back and forth. This really is about building dialogue and building trust, obviously, and then open questions. I think it's always good, towards the end or in the one-on-one to have scheduled. It's almost like an open AMA. So, hey, what questions do you have for me? Now, if we tee that up every time and the answer is no, none, thank you. So you could say, do you have any questions for me? That's too easy because the answer could be no. So we don't want to do that. We really want to have open-ended questions, which is, do you have any questions for me that you need my input on? Are there any topics you would like to process? Are there ideas that you would like to bounce around? Strategically, I like to think about one of the updates you talked about. Maybe next time we could talk about what does it look like to take that to the next step in the next quarter. Does that make sense to you in terms of what I'm looking for? And if so, what could that look like next time? Again, you're trying to get the dialogue for what's happening. And then the last part, I just would say consistency creates psychological safety and signals reliability. If you have a different agenda every time you meet on a one-on-one, or you come in hot and heavy, then you come in, hey, how's it going? Then you come in hot and heavy, and you come in, hey, so I hear you're going on vacation. It's a challenge for people mentally, and it really doesn't give psychological safety. Now, I understand we need to run through things. This is not about ignoring the hard questions. This is not about just um, get through the business or whatever. It really is about connecting to the person because they are an investment. They are a commodity of your business and you want to invest in them. And the more you invest in them, the more they're going to invest in you and in the company. It is a win-win. Sometimes it doesn't work and you move those people on. That's just part of it. But you don't know until you invest. And so part of this psychological safety also lowers, many people have had micromanaging bosses. Hopefully that's not you, but we all micromanage it a little bit. So I'll give you that, or I'll give myself that. We all do a little bit. But they're coming in with a lot of different things, a little bit of PTSD even from bad situations. So we want to build that psychological safety. How? By opening the door for questions, for dialogue, setting up the agenda, building trust, open dialogue questions, having a regular agenda. So all three of these together, among other things, I've done a video on how to have your first one-on-one go well for a team as well as an individual. You're welcome to look at that. I'll see if I can figure out how to drop that in the show notes on this live. There's a handout as well. There's actually a toolkit. I'll try to put a link to that as to how to lead your one-on-one. The point of all of this is building rapport, getting your employees to perform well in a way that builds trust. And as that trust is built, they're naturally going to open up. So, a way to apply this is what message do you think your team takes away from your one on one? So, we have one on ones, but the question is what message is your team taking away? I think it's important to think about that afterwards. So, um, think about your last one on one you had. What was your desired outcome? You should have that going into it. Is your desired outcome that no matter what we talk about this point? Great. Did you do that? Did you also have time to listen? Or was it just a meeting that you clearly said, hey, Jonathan, we're just going to get together. I need to talk about you some about performance areas, or I need to talk about the next quarter's goals. Was that successful? Great. But if it was follow that agenda we just talked about, if it was about update, feedback, and development, what did that actually happen? And if so, what was the takeaway? Did they felt heard? Now, you're not going to know that after that meeting, but it's a question to evaluate. Why? Because the next time when you have the meeting, you can actually follow up. Hey, thanks for having that meeting when we were able to talk about these things. How did you feel it went? Did you feel it was heard? So again, it's that dialogue. So how do you feel it went? You can't read people's minds, but again, what message? And then here, how can you balance listening with providing guidance to those connect conversations? So it is a balance of listening and providing guidance to the conversation. It's not just dialogue, one person talking. That's a key here is how do you have that conversation going forward? We'd have an AMA if any of you were on. You're not. I didn't see any notes if you left a question, so maybe you can't jump on these. If you ever have questions, drop them in the group in LinkedIn. There's two groups, the new manager leader group and then the season group. Drop a question in there. But I will say, I was thinking maybe no one's going to be on these first couple ones. What's a couple questions that I would ask if I was a new manager? So, a question I would ask, let me pull up my document here. I had a couple questions. One question I would ask is, well, what if I don't have any one-on-ones with my boss right now? I'd love to have a one-on-one, Jonathan. That's a great idea. And I don't have them. Well, the first question is, why do you need a one-on-one with your boss? Whatever your reason is, list it out. That's part of the reason is you want to list out the reason for the one-on-one. It's going to help you set up the conversation for the one-on-one. So let's say you have a list of reasons that you want to meet with your boss for a one-on-one, and it isn't happening right now. Instead, they're just giving you information. And one of the reasons you like to have a one-on-one is you like to have more dialogue, not necessarily input into what's going on. You understand that may not happen, maybe it will, but you want to have more dialogue. You just want to understand and process a little bit better. So maybe one option is to pose a question, something along the lines of, I would value having a one-on-one with you in order to, and you fill in the blank. So you need to fill in the blank with maybe, I would value having a one-on-one with you in order to have more clarity, or I want to grow more, or I want to learn more in terms of depth in this role. Whatever it is, you want to have a reason that will connect to them. In other words, it's something that will logically make sense to them. I would love to have a one-on-one with you because I would love to spend more time with you. Not going to happen. So have a reason. Um, I will say personally, years ago when I started FedEx in management, this happened to me. I wanted to grow and develop, and I was just getting into the management training program at FedEx. I was working with my manager, but there was another senior manager that I wanted to work with, and I approached them and I said, I won't say their name right now, but I said, hey, I would love to work with you because you're at a higher level than my current manager who's working with me. And he's doing a great job. I'm learning a lot, but I would love to learn just your perspective from a different level. Do you have any time to invest in me? Would you take the time? And he looked at me and he said, sure. I actually have a group that meets at 5 a.m. Whatever day of the week it was, I forget. I think it was Mondays, but I don't remember. I have a group at 5 a.m. at my station that meets from 5 to 6 a.m. It's on your own time. Come to that and I'll work with you. So I did. I drove. It was another station. I think it was an hour away from where I lived. I drove to that station. I was there from 5 to 6 a.m. With five or six other developing managers that he was developing. I did that for 6, 7 months, and then I got into management myself. But it was huge. He was willing to do it. He actually was already doing it, but I was able to speak in. So my point is, for a one-on-one for you, obviously you may not be joining a group. You want to do a one-on-one, but you got to give a reason that connects to the why, that connects to why would they do it. Another question you might ask is, well, how do I start having one-on-ones with my employees without it seeming like something's wrong? I mean, let's admit it, if you're not having one-on-ones and then you all of a sudden walk up to your employee and say, hey, Jonathan, so tomorrow I want to start having a one-on-one with you. And here's the agenda. We're going to cover these things. 8 a.m. I look forward to seeing you. Have a great day. They're going to go negative. I would go probably negative. I mean, maybe not completely, but I would be a little concerned, like what's going on here? Why is there this interest in this meeting? So way to do that is I would probably start with an announcement to the team and list your why and your desired outcomes. So I'm making this up on the spot, but it could be something along the lines of starting this next month, I'm going to begin having one-on-ones with each team member. My desired outcome is to learn about you more and what your role is in this company as far as specifically what you do and how it leads to the goals that are happening. Again, I'm making this up. You may already know that, but then I would have a caveat to it. And I also want to learn about where you are in your development and how we can continue to develop more. Because as a company, we all want to learn and develop. Whatever it is, you fill in the blank, it's got to be real. You list the desired outcome and then have an agenda for the meeting. That way, when you're in the meeting, it's not a like the sky is falling. We're meeting because you're getting terminated. That's what 90% of people think why you're meeting. So that's that, asking about anything that's on your mind today. And then I would just encourage you this week's takeaway for the one, we're always going to have a takeaway. Your one-on-one set the tone for leadership. Done consistently and with care, they can become the heartbeat of trust and performance. This is really important. They can become the heartbeat. I will say, if I don't do my one-on-ones, like I'm on vacation or they're out and we miss several, we actually have to have a check-in because we're missing a connection because we had a system going in place and then we're all of a sudden I'm out of touch. They're out of touch. Again, it can be a 10-minute meeting. These don't have to be long. It is what is the desired outcome and how do you get there in quick and as professional way as you can with having the personal touch. So remember this, keep this in mind. So try this challenge. Ask at least one development question in your next one-on-one. For example, what skill would you like to grow in the next 3 months? Ask them what that would look like, and then in the next meeting, have them come back. People many times, so I will throw this out. This is a mistake I used to make. I used to ask this question and then just sit there for an answer. I'm sorry for all of you who I managed years ago. Um, Most people can't think on the spot like that. They're just like, well, what do you mean developing? I mean, are you thinking like how to do my job better because I'm not doing a good job? No, no, we're talking about how do you want to develop? Do you want more computer skills? Do you want to be a better communicator, etc.? I don't know what it is, but you tell me. So have them come back and then say, and I'd love to hear what your ideas of how you'll do that. Like, what would it take? What would you need for that? Some of it might be, I want to take a class online. Some of it might be, well, hey, I want to read a book together. I want to develop. Whatever it is, but it shows you want to develop. So that's a challenge for you. I'd love to hear how that happens. So leave a comment in that. So I just want to thank you for being on, for watching this. Again, twice a month, we'll be doing this. There'll be a different topic we cover. The next session is going to be October 14th. The topic is delegation without micromanaging. I'll just leave it there. Delegation without micromanaging is the topic. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, here it is. Go to YouTube. Jonathan Hankin is my channel. I have weekly leadership videos on there as well as a video podcast. Thank you for being on. I look forward to connecting with you more. If you're on the next one, it'll be the date I listed. Feel free also, if you're not a member yet, to jump on the LinkedIn group, the new members group. I'll put that in the show notes. Join. There's lots of quotes. We do posts in there and discussion questions throughout the week. Until next time, I'll talk to you later.